Today, we're sharing something a little different. This isn't just data or an analysis. It's a deeply personal story. It's adapted directly from one man's own account of his battle with leukemia. It's a really powerful, first-person journey of resilience and hope, so let's get right into it.
So we're actually going to start at the end with this statement he wrote. It really frames the whole story. 9 beautiful months. So what were those 9 months, and what journey is restarting? Well, to understand that, we have to go all the way back to the beginning.
Like so many of these stories, this one starts when life was just completely normal. And it's just one of those jarring reminders of how everything can change in an instant, with absolutely no warning at all.
Now, what's really staggering here is just how fast this all happened. Think about it. It starts in late March 2022 with something like swollen ankles. A month later, sinusitis. These are things most of us would just brush off, right? But by May 2nd, he's in the hospital. And just one day later, he's in another hospital getting a diagnosis that turns his entire world upside down.
When he got to the hospital, his hemoglobin level was 4.2. Now, just to give you some perspective, a normal healthy range for a man is somewhere between 13.5 and 17.5. So 4.2, that's critically low. This one number just shows you how seriously ill he was, even though the symptoms had seemed so manageable just a few weeks before. So the diagnosis was acute myeloid leukemia, or AML. It's a cancer of the blood and the bone marrow. And here's the key thing. His specific subtype was initially considered low risk. And that was a glimmer of hope, because it meant that, at the time, he might not need the most grueling treatment of all, a bone marrow transplant. This was the very first question he asked his doctors. And it's such a human question, isn't it? You're just searching for a reason, for some kind of logic in all the chaos. He described himself as living a super healthy life. He was active, always outdoors, a non-smoker, didn't drink. So where on earth did this come from? And the doctor's answer was, wow, so blunt and so sobering. There was nothing he did wrong, no one to blame. Leukemia, she said, it just arrives. And their job was to fight it with everything that modern medicine has to offer. That acceptance, right there, that this is just random, that's such a difficult first step on a very, very long road. So, with the diagnosis confirmed, the first battle began. He was immediately thrown into this whole new world of intense, systematic, and frankly, grueling treatment. The game plan was relentless. They kicked off with one cycle of what's called induction chemotherapy. That's the big hit designed to knock the cancer into remission. After that, it was followed by 4 more cycles of consolidation chemo, which is basically meant to hunt down any sneaky cancer cells that might be left. This whole process took months and months, finally ending with his discharge from the hospital on November 2nd, 2022. But the treatment was anything but a smooth ride. It wasn't just the chemo he was fighting, it was this whole host of other painful, dangerous complications. He was dealing with everything from constant nosebleeds and bleeding in his eye to fevers that just wouldn't break, serious infections, even a cataract that he got from all the medication. The fight was really on all fronts, all at once. After going through all of that, he was finally discharged. And this next chapter, this is what he was fighting for, a return to life. And it was a precious, beautiful 9-month period where he was in remission. The first big step back to normalcy? Going back to work. After about a month of recovering at home, he was back at his job. And it sounds like a simple thing, but it's a huge, significant milestone. It's a sign that your old life is still there, waiting for you. And then came the confirmation he had been so desperately hoping for. The test results in the spring of 2023 came back looking great. And in his own words, he finally felt out of this horrible tunnel. Can you just imagine that feeling? That moment of pure relief, believing the nightmare was finally, truly over. And man, did he embrace his new freedom. He calls this period a beautiful gift, and he just dove right in. This list just gives you a tiny glimpse of all the places he went, the incredible hikes he took, the beauty he was just soaking in. He was reclaiming every single thing the illness had tried to steal from him, one beautiful landscape at a time. So, he was out of the tunnel. He was living his life to the absolute fullest. But silently, completely invisibly, the disease was coming back. And this next part of the story, it's a devastating turn.
And this is what makes it so cruel. On the outside, he was totally fine, better than fine. He was hiking in the mountains, feeling strong, feeling healthy. There were absolutely no physical signs, no symptoms at all, to even hint that the cancer was back.
Okay, so this is where everything flips. On June 20th, he goes in for a routine bone marrow test. The first result, called an immunophenotype, comes back the very next day, and it looks good, green light. But there's a second, much more sensitive test, the molecular result. And that one takes over a month to process. It can spot cancer at an incredibly low level. And when that call finally came in late July, the news was the complete opposite. The value was high. The cancer was back.
You can just feel the whiplash in those words. I mean, one minute you're on vacation, you're in the mountains, feeling like you're on top of the world. The next, you get a phone call telling you that the fight you thought you already won, you have to do it all over again. His entire future, which seemed so bright and open, was just completely rewritten in an instant.
But, and this is a huge but, there was a critical silver lining here. Because the relapse was caught at that molecular level, it was found long before it would have caused any physical symptoms. He figures that without this early warning, he probably wouldn't have even felt sick until maybe October, and by then, it might have been too late. This invisible warning gave him a real fighting chance.
And that brings us pretty much to today. Those 9 beautiful months of life are over, and a new, even more difficult road has begun. But the difference this time is, he knows exactly what he's fighting for.
So on August 4th, 2023, just over 9 months after he was first sent home, he was readmitted to the hospital. The path forward this time is tougher. It means more chemo, and now that bone marrow transplant he was able to avoid the first time around is an absolute necessity.
And so we come back to those words from the very beginning. Those 9 beautiful months were a gift. They were a taste of the life he is now fighting to get back to. He knows this new journey will be longer, and it will be harder. But his final words aren't about despair. They're about pure resolve. I want to try. It's just an incredible testament to the human spirit. And it leaves you with this one powerful question. What gives us the strength to start the journey all over again?